You just killed my childhood dream. Well, you and a major conglomerate. Allow me to elaborate. Some huge news just happened in the Branzyverse, and since Rec keeps telling me to try these narration videos, I figured what better time to do it than while I'm building a mystery death contraption on Lifesteal. Oh no, not this guy, not again. But if you haven't already heard, Rooster Teeth is shutting down, and if you don't know who that is, well, apparently you're not alone. But for me, they were the entire reason I started my main channel in the first place. I was probably like 9 or 10 when I first found their videos, and I mean, this was before YouTube even existed, so you had to really dig into the internet to just happen upon these videos. Luckily for me, not only have they stopped spitting, but I had largely unmonitored access to the internet and an unhealthy obsession with the Halo game series. I mean, you can watch an entire Let's Play of the first Halo game on my main channel in the playlist section if you really wanted to. And when I tell you that that very first Red vs. Blue episode changed my life, I mean, it's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but looking back now, it was a hugely significant influence on the paths I've chosen since then. For example, after a couple years of being a fan of the Red vs. Blue series, this new website called YouTube launched, and suddenly anyone could make videos and post them online for free, which I immediately decided to do. I got my mom's 4GB RAM laptop, bought an RCA capture card off eBay, rigged it through my VCR to my Xbox, and recorded the greatest Halo Super Bounce tutorial in history. I also just realized how old everything in that sentence made me sound. I'm not old, okay? I'm ripened. Anyways, as I was saying, the greatest Super Bounce tutorial in Halo history. Sadly, that video was deleted long ago. Not only because it was simply too good and would have changed the content landscape for decades to come, but because it gave me my very first taste of how absolutely terrible people on the internet can be to a child. I mean, I had literal death threats on the comment section on that video. And again, it was a tutorial. Like, I'm talking short text on a screen, copyright music in the background, and a slow fade to black at the end. And you'd think I'd invaded a sovereign nation. But I digress. My 13-year-old brain could not comprehend the level of hate that I was getting. So I deleted the video, the channel, and any inkling of myself on the entire internet I could find, except for one very special website called machinima.com. Because this site had a very unique forum where any aspiring Halo-related content creator could post projects they wanted to work on with others or their availability to be in other people's videos. And since my solo career sort of ended in a bit of a dumpster fire, I decided that if I didn't have what it took to make a YouTube channel myself, then maybe I could still make my dream a reality and just be a part of someone else's. So my goal immediately became to work for Rooster Teeth, but you have to start somewhere. So I joined a machinima project, made some friends, and even became a writer for some of the videos that we never actually made, but we had a lot of fun. And one of our favorite things to do was sit in voice chats and watch Red vs. Blue together. But after a couple years, thousands of hours in game, and not a single video made, my literal group of Spartans started to disappear and dwindle until it was just me left. So I gave up on my dream, became an accountant at my father-in-law's firm, devoted 63 years to being a loving husband and father, and died peacefully and fulfilled with the life I had carved out for myself at the ripe old age of 147. No, I'm just kidding. But that was the basis of one of the plots I wrote for the Machinima series. So, you know, imagine that, but with Master Chief and plasma weapons. But what I actually did was jump straight onto the Rooster Teeth website and check their job openings. Now, at the time, I was still too young to actually get a job there, but I realized most of the things that they were looking for as prerequisites were in traditional media or film experience. So over the next few years, I started hanging out in my high school's film classes, became friends with the film students, and even started acting and writing skits in their college film projects. And I loved everything about it. The creativity, the process, the people, and of course, getting our first video over 100 views on YouTube. And before any of you ask, no, I'm not gonna share them. They are far too cringy, and it would probably just be a danger to society in general. But unfortunately, as you get older, time seems to just go faster and faster. And before you know it, you're in it. Like, really in it, to the point you're about to get your associate's degree with no real major and no direction as to what you want to do with your life except make videos on the internet. So I put all of my knowledge and experience I'd gained from years of pursuing this dream out there and applied to be an actual Rooster Teeth editor. Or maybe it was a set grip. Honestly, it could have been lead floor licker for all I remember. But my hopes were sky high, and this felt like my last chance before real life swallowed me whole. And I waited for that job offer like an acceptance letter from Hogwarts. Then 1 week went by, no response. 2 weeks, still no response. 2 months, nothing. And eventually I realized I was left on red and my worst fears had come true, and I had to get a quote real job. I know, it was terrible. I hated it, but having various typical 9-to-5s taught me a lot about myself. My work ethic, my desire to always make the best product possible, and that I am physically incapable of not giving things 100%. I'm fairly certain that means I have an extreme case of undiagnosed OCD, but I am also terrified of expressing myself to anyone I don't know personally. So anyways, no matter what job I was in or how happy or unhappy I was in it, every couple months I would check Rooster Teeth's job listings looking for my opportunity. Still watching their various channels and podcasts, thinking to myself, I think I would be such a good fit here, and really thinking I could be a valuable part of their production. And that went on for years, until one day, Rooster Teeth posted a new listing for a streaming personality. Now, it had been a few years since I'd made any videos at all, and I was a little bit rusty, but I knew everything about this company, and I had plenty of past video experience. So I applied immediately. This time with a degree, with experience, with the ability and desire to move to Austin, Texas to live out my dream that had been raging for about 15 years at this point. And a few days later, something happened that in the 5 other times I'd applied to Rooster Teeth had never happened before. I got a response. My heart started racing when I saw that Gmail notification. I excused myself from the meeting I was in, stepped into the hallway, and opened the email to read that they have decided to go in a different direction. I was crushed. I had applied to this company 6 times now, tried everything I could think of to get more experience and be a more appealing candidate, but nothing had worked. And frankly, I was in a bit of a rut in life in general. I was in a job I didn't enjoy, stressed about bills and the future. I was traveling constantly for work and had no time for friends and family. The only things that even brought joy to my life at that time was watching Rooster Teeth and Minecraft videos. Well, and my wife, of course. I mean, we were dating at the time, but we're married now. You know what? It doesn't even matter. Well, it does matter because I love her more than anything in the world. So it's not to say that us being married doesn't matter. It's just, it's not particularly relevant to this particular story. Okay, well, it's a huge part of every story. But those videos also felt kind of hollow to me now, because it felt like a club that I had tried so desperately to join but never could. So once again, I was faced with the question, is it time to let the dream die? And now the answer was clearer than ever. Over my dead body. I decided that the reason I didn't get hired at Rooster Teeth yet wasn't because I didn't have the experience or knowledge or didn't even live within 1,000 miles of the studio. It was because I was going about this all wrong. I didn't need to apply to a job at Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth needed to apply to me. That sounded way cooler in my head. But I realized that most of the content creators that they had hired came either from their community or were just great solo content creators that wanted to be part of their team. And that realization, coupled with the idea that the best way to offset undiagnosed depression is to relive the most joyous times of your life, that was a joke, not mental health advice. I decided to go back to square one and start my very own solo YouTube channel in a genre that I had been watching since the very start, and that I knew Rooster Teeth was a huge part of: Minecraft. I mean, it felt like the perfect plan, and although things started out slow at first, I met some amazing friends early on, most of which I still know to this day. And those friends reminded me how much fun I had in those early machinima.com days. Having a group of friends working towards a similar goal, helping each other, teaching each other, laughing together, and forming genuine friendships that span across the world. And after a couple years, something I never really expected when I started this channel happened. I found you. Or maybe you found me. Honestly, I think it really just depends on if I was in my clickbait phase or not. People who wanted to watch my silly, quirky, sometimes just straight out cringy jokes. People who encouraged me being the little trickster I've been my entire life. People who probably never even knew how much of my channel's success I owe to a silly childhood dream of working at Rooster Teeth. So I guess what I'm saying is, between the Echoes, the Life Stealers, the No Name Gang, and all of you, you killed my dream. And I thank you for that, from the very bottom of my heart. And in all sincerity, thank you, Rooster Teeth, for not only the years of content you provided, but for being the inspiration behind this and countless other channels over the last 21 years, which is probably also how long this is gonna take me to build if I don't shut up. And if any of you can successfully guess what this build is going to be, well, there is no actual prize, but if you're the kind of person that just enjoys being right, then I don't know, shoot your shot. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.